I don't want to be paid. I just want to do it for AC. So he did the picture for free. So friendship is something that in our business is so important that you have it. And when I go out to talk to kids, I explain to them that seeing a movie can change your whole life. Because when I saw Wings on my 10th birthday, 83 years ago, it changed my whole life on what the hell I'd be doing if it weren't for that picture Wings and Mr. Zucker and Mr. DeMille. And I always tell them, there's one word that I think is the most discouraging word in the whole English language is the word, it's small, if. It's the middle two words of life, but the if is so completely defeated. I always say, never use the word if in our business. Always say when I do it, and when it happens. That is what I think. And seeing Ed back there reminds me of something. I have a film when I go out that Ronald Reagan comes on and introduces me from the White House. And he says, I want to tell you the life story of my best friend, A.C. Lyles. And he goes on how we met and things. And he says, A.C. was the first person to tell me I was going to be president someday. And that was 6 years before I ran for office. And he said, then he wrote to all of his friends and said, keep this letter because my friend Ronald Reagan is going to be president. And 6 years before he ran for office, I said, Ronnie, you're going to be president. What? I just, you know, if I saw Elizabeth Taylor, I knew she was going to grow up to be a beautiful young lady. I knew Ronnie was going to be president. And wrote my friends that. And I thought I had a great idea. Nancy and her father and a few other people were trying to talk. I said, Ronnie, you got to run for governor and then run for president. So he called me one day and he said, AC, there was a lady going to come over to see you this afternoon. I said, what? And because when I registered, Ronnie's 7 years my senior, when I registered to vote, I called him, I said, now we are Democrats, aren't we? And he said, yes. I said, good. Then Ronnie was spoke at a place, and a lady raised her hand and said, Mr. Reagan, I hear you speak, and more you sound like a Republican. And he said, I feel like a Republican. She said, another lady raised her hand and said, Mr. Reagan, I register voters. He said, meet me in the lobby. And that's how Ronnie became a Republican. So the next day, he sent the lady over to re-register me, and he said, I'm sending this lady over. And I said, Ronnie, why is she coming over to see me? And he said, well, he's going to be re-registered. I said, re-register me about what? He said, from a Democrat to a Republican. I said, oh, Ronnie, are we Republicans now? And he said, yes, and that's how we became Republicans. But anyway, I thought he should run. I said, Ronnie, you got to run for governor first. And he tells this story, so I got it on film. He said, and then run for president. So I thought I had a great idea. I said, Ronnie, we'll just go out and stop at houses. Excuse me. And you just knock at the doors and tell them you want to run for governor, and they'll tell you the same thing I'm telling you. You could be elected. So I talked Ronnie into going out to houses, and we got to this house. He knocked, no answer. He knocked again, no answer. And finally, a lady came to the door, and there was a heavy meshed screen door, and then a heavy door. And I looked at this lady, and I knew we were in trouble because it was in the mid of the afternoon, and she had her hair in curlers and a robe on. I said, oh my God, we disturbed this woman. And she just glared at him through the screen door, and she said, yes, what do you want? What are you selling? And he said, no, I'm not selling anything, I'm just going houses. For what? He said, well, I'm thinking about running for governor. You're going to run for governor. She said, are you our city councilman? If you are, you see that old mattress on the curb? She, excuse me. She said, that thing has been here 2 weeks. And I've called 5 times to have the goddamn thing picked up. If you are a city councilman, you're doing a lousy job. I'm dying. And he said, no, I'm not in politics. She said, what are you doing? He sheepishly said, I'm an actor. She opened the screen door and looked at him. And she said, oh my God, it's you. How are you? And she said, so happy to see you. And he said, thank you. And she said, well, you know, thank you. She said, I have a game that I play. Thank you. She said, I have a game that I play. I made it up. It's called Initials. And 8 ladies come here and play bridge every Wednesday night. And we play initials. Somebody be playing bridge, and one of the ladies say, RM, Robert Mitchell, that person knows, gets a point. SD Shirley Temple, she gets a point. And the 2 winners take their flowers home. And that way, you should tell your friends about it. He said, I will do it. It's all about Hollywood. And so she, now I'm feeling good. She knows who he is and going on. And she said, you know, my husband's in the back. He never comes here, but I want him to meet you. Can I call my husband? And he said, yes. And he said, that's great, great game. And she said, you know, I'm RR in the game. She said, I know who, of course you are. So she turns around and she says, honey, you got to come to the door. You'll never believe it. Guess what? Roy Rogers is here. So, that, he says, but looking at Ed, one time Ronnie decided to have a bus tour through California. And Ed was advancing things. And we had 3 buses. And Ronnie and Nancy were one. And I was pressing things with him, and a young kid came over and said, Mr. Lyles? I said, yes. He said, the president sent me over to talk to you. And I said, about what? He said, well, he wants me to take care of you. I'm going to take care of the luggage for you. I know you like milk, and I'm going to have milk for you, and just do everything that you want. You just let me know what it was. And he broke his back doing all these things for me. The next morning, Ronnie talked to him, and he said, you know, that young kid is being so gracious to you and everything. Who is he? I said, he's helping me. And he said, well, how'd you meet him? I said, through you. He said, what do you mean? I said, he came over and said, Mr. Lyles, the president, President Reagan wants me to be with you. He said, I never saw him before. And I was a kid, so I went over and I said, I want to introduce you to some, who, the president. And so he was with us for a couple of days and all like that. But I tell you, more and more every day, I love our business, and I love our movies, and I see almost every movie made at the studio and the Academy, and I have a season pass to all the theaters, which means that in my life, at 93, and I've seen every movie practically made, I've never walked out on a picture. I say I didn't see it, but I also have to tell you, I never paid to see a movie either. So that's good. In our business, first off, of course, does anybody want to ask me a question? I'll be happy to do it for you. Ladies, if you want to write this down, 323-956-5819 and ask for Pam, and she'll set it up for you.
I have a question. What was the name of the picture that Jimmy Cagney directed?